you can share your house rule and the survey.
Okay, I go live.
Okay, then you stand by the what for President?
Okay, live
announcement. Live, that means on Facebook, is it?
Yes. No, not yet.
Yes.
This one.
Or we just open the chat room. I think they open the chat room, but not live yet. I think it's gonna take some time.
Yeah, talk about the survey first while everybody's coming in. I think that's good.
Yeah.
Is there a link that you can show the survey how it looks like? Wai Ling, is it possible?
I don't have the link at the moment. Yeah.
Let me find the link. I think I will have the link. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Just bear with us for a while.
Yeah, because I think it's important to show them that it's actually a very simple survey, you know. Just like quickly pop it up on the screen.
Yeah, I will find the link.
Because this is actually very important.
Yep. Let me find the link.
I think we can do the introductions.
Okay.
Okay, can't find the link right now. Okay, hi, good afternoon, everyone, boys and girls. Welcome to MEAS Hope Program. Just give me, okay, by the way, my name is Kian An, and I will be your so-called host or MC or whatever we call it. But anyway, I think there's nothing new for you guys. I think I've seen a lot of familiar names here. This is our we have done 66 sessions, I think. We have done 66 sessions of so-called this program.
MEAS Hope Program.
Yeah, MEAS program. And this is the 31st edition of the 3 p.m. session. So I think we have done a lot of sharing in terms of knowledge, in terms of skills, in terms of whatever we think that we hope to benefit our members and also the public at large. So I think it's great that we have this thing happening, and we hope it really benefit all of you. And as you know, the MCO is going to extend for another until what? 12 May. So we still have 17 days more to go. So hanging on there, and I hope everyone of you are doing fine. Okay, now. Okay, good afternoon again. Welcome. I think, Wai Ling, did we manage to connect to Facebook Live? No, but it's okay. Just for those of you who have friends or whoever wanting to go into Facebook Live, I think Wai Ling is still trying to connect. In the meantime, you can ask those people who wanted to join, can always join this, log into this Zoom. I think we can accommodate up to 500 participants, if I'm not wrong. So
yes, we can accommodate up to 500.
So you can get them to come in here, and as usual, we will record this and we'll put it on Facebook for those who miss it. Okay, now we are 3:04. Come, let's start. Okay, good afternoon again. Today we have here, I think you have seen her. This is 8 or 9 time. So you can see I Ching here, different setup, different hairstyle, different clothes, different for many times a day. So just a formality, if those of you have, just in case you don't know who she is, I just want to do a slight introduction. Just give me a minute. What is wrong in my screen? Just give me a minute. Wait. Okay, just a quick introduction of this lady here. As you all know, Ai Ching, she is a president-elect of MEAS, meaning to say in year 2021, right? Year 2021, she will be our new president of MEAS. Then she's also a board member of BOVIAP, right? As you all know, BOVIAP is Board of Valuer, Appraiser, Estate Agent, and Property Managers. So she is representing MEAS, sitting in the board. And she's also a general manager of SK Brothers. If you know, as you know, SK Brothers has been a pioneer, long time brand in the industry, and she has been there since 1999. Are you? Oh, you're 21 years, huh?
Time flies.
Time flies, but you don't look like 21 years. But anyway, and surprisingly, you are younger than me. Okay, anyway, yeah, that's Ai Ching. I think you guys know her well. So Ai Ching, today the topic is basically on, I think this is the last part of the MEAS standard, right?
Yes.
So this MEAS 10 is basically covering tenancy administration, something new that it was just encrypted into the standard. I think Ai Ching is also part of the committee, part of the people who have came up with all these things. So I think she's definitely the right person to share with you guys on this standard. So Ai Ching, I pass it on to you. And before that, I think Wai Ling, do you want to share some the house rule? I think Wai Ling, sorry. Wai Ling, are you there? Yeah, Wai Ling. Yeah, so just basically just a little bit of house rule. For those of you who are not who are participating, you try to keep your what they call microphone mute. If you have any questions, anything you want to ask, always use your Q&A box or the chat box. And also virtual patients, just in case we get disconnected or some technical problems, like not moving, Ai Ching suddenly the screen freeze. You all have some patience a little bit. And the next thing is that I want to share on is, Wai Ling, the next slide is, I hope those of you who have not filled up this survey, I urge you all to go to MIA website, MIA page. There's a link to this survey. We want to hear from you, from all the practitioners. What is your thought on the market outlook? And also if you have any suggestion on how you think MIA can help you, or how you think, what are the wish lists from the government that you want to have, you can write down and see how MIA can represent the fraternity, the members, to convey the message to the minister and see how we can help you guys. So we would love to hear from you. So I seek your cooperation and participation to go to this, fill up this survey. If you don't have the link or whatever, you can always get in touch with Secretariat. Wai Ling, she'll be able to send you the link. All right, so now Ai Ching, over to you.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Ken An, and welcome back again for those who are returning on the last series of the Malaysian Estate Agency Standards 3rd edition 2020. And for those who are first time here, welcome. Of course, we have done so many series already, so if you have missed out, no worries, because all our recordings for the last 66 sessions are all on MIA Facebook page. So anytime at your own time, you can scroll back down, and the different dates will have the different topics from the time I think we began a couple of days after MCO was announced. Okay, so part 6. Yes, this is the final part for MEAS. We didn't realize it would take so many sessions, but I think it's important because sometimes it's more important to have the depth of understanding than to skim through something really fast and we're not able to address issues that you may have, or that to better our understanding on the subject matter. Okay. So, so I'll repeat, what is governing our profession is Act 242. I think by now Act 242 should be in all our minds already. This is the Valuers, Appraisers, Estate Agent and Property Managers Act. Yeah, so that's what we call Act 242. Rules 1986 comes together with the Act. The standards is what we're talking about today, and the circular directives and guidelines. Okay, yesterday I wanted to share with you all on the recent circular that the board has just sent out, because some of you have written into the board and said that and expressed some frustrations not being able to reach or get your matters addressed. So the board issued a circular, and Wai Ling will pop up the circular very shortly, so that you address your particular matters to the right person, because there are, I think, at least 10 persons at the board that's in charge of different matters. Like some people will be in charge of TPC, then you only write to that person in charge of TPC and not to the general inquiry email, so that your issues get addressed immediately. So Wai Ling is popping it up on the screen right now. Okay, so if you scroll down, you can see that Pushpa is in charge of, and her email address is exams@lpph.gov.my. So for those who are on your probationary matters, please write to her. And you can scroll up, Wai Ling. Yeah, and then as you go down the list, you can see all the relevant people in charge of different items. This same circular, we have also posted it on our Facebook page, on MIA Facebook page, so you can download it anytime, or you can also go to the board website to get this email. Yeah, so it's very important. So complaints comes to Josephine, you know, foreign exhibitions or matters relating, that goes to Audrey. Then Hafiza is in charge of renewal of authority to practice and things like that. So get the right email to the right person for your various matters that you have related to the board. Okay, so I think that was very good of the board to come up with a very clear circular on this subject matter. Okay, you see, there's so many complaints, illegals. Yeah, so Radzwan is in charge of complaints relating to illegals. So email to him directly. Yeah, and including Darshan. Okay, registration of property managers, of course, that goes to Fatin. And anything on CIC and all that is Kavita and Simone. Okay, so I think, yeah. Okay, so I think that is what's available on the board website as well as MIA website for you to get to the right person. Okay, all right, so now I'll share back my screen. Thank you, Wei Ling. All right, okay. Oops. Oops, something happened. Are you still looking at my screen? My apologies.
Yeah, it's on your introduction, Act
Okay.
242, Rules 1, 1986. Yep.
All right. Okay, now it's moving on, table contents. Okay.
Yep.
So
yep.
we have covered so many sections, and this is the last section being standard number 10 on tenancy administration. So this is a brand new standard that's been added completely, whole thing is new, added into the MEAS. In the previous standard, we ended at standard 9, which is client's account, but in this new standard, which is effective 2nd of January 2020, includes tenancy administration. Okay, so let's quickly look at what tenancy administration as defined under the MEAS, okay? It's basically an expansion of our estate agency role in addition to introducing buyers and sellers, tenants and landlords and things like that. We are also now expanded our scope to include tenancy administration, which is the management of the landlord-tenant relationship and the associated management functions. Okay, under this part here will explain in more detail what is this management functions, okay? It includes like tenant liaison. So instead of the owner having to contact, the landlord having to contact the tenant all the time about issues, the tenant basically contacts you as the one taking care of the doing the tenancy administration to handle all the matters. Oh, you know, this thing not working, there's a leak in my unit, there is this and that. So tenant liaison matters is being handled under this. Handling and taking over of premises, yes. This one actually cannot take too lightly. This process of handing over and not handling, sorry, is handing over and taking over of premises is very important, because at the start, when you're handing over, you have to make sure that everything that's there, it's there, supposed to be there, is there. And even when the property is given back to the landlord, it must be in the state where the handing over took place. So the items in the inventory and all that would be properly cross-checked and all that. Billings is more for in relation to expenses and things like that on the property. Collection and disbursement of rent. Yeah, so under the tenancy administration function, we are also to collect the rent on behalf of the landlord and then to disperse the rent to the landlord. Coordination between contractors undertaking works in the premises. Yes, if the tenant complained, oh, there's a leak, there is this and that, then as the tenancy administrator, we need to make sure that we get the quotations from contractors and to do the work, to fix up the work, okay? But of course, prior to fixing up the work, we need to get approvals and things like that. Payment of utilities. Okay, in circumstances where the landlord says, hey, you handle everything for me, I don't want to worry about a single thing, even my maintenance charges, the quit rent, the assessment, and whatever other utilities, you handle it, you just take it off the rent. So that's where the role expands to that as well, property taxes and service charges, and also monitoring its statement of premises. Okay, sometimes a property is rented out vacant, okay, and the tenant goes in there and then it enhances its value. Maybe he did some renovation and things like that. But in the tenancy agreement, perhaps it's mentioned that when the tenancy expires, you are to return the premises as you were given it, which means empty, bare, and all that. So one of the role of the tenancy administrator is to make sure that this process is done, and what happens if it's not, and all that. So the whole logistic arrangements and things like that will come under this particular role. Of course, this particular session on tenancy administration was also covered on the 31st of March. For those who want to go back and see the previous presenter present on this matter, I think Surveyor Mark Saw, which is the immediate past chairman of the Penang MIA branch, he covered this matter at length on the 31st of March. So scroll back in your free time and look through for the details of how to do tenancy administration. Okay, of course, when it comes to this tenant and landlord relationship management roles that we're talking about, we're not talking about property management of the entire development or complex. Yeah, so that's why it's termed as tenancy administration and not property management. Standard number 10 did not say standard number 10 dash property management. No. Standard number 10 is very specific to say standard number 10 dash tenancy administration, which means that we are managing the tenancy, indirectly managing the behind the tenancy a little bit, but not the whole development. That means we are not using our estate agency so-called registration to manage shopping complexes or big buildings and things like that, or strata buildings and things like that. Okay, so it's only for the individual tenancy management. But that doesn't mean that within one block you cannot have 50 tenancy managed by you. Yes, that's possible, but you're managing the tenancy and not managing the entire building and common property and things like that. All right. Okay. So of course, the estate agent shall sign and date whatever terms of engagement and business arrangement, including procedures and responsibility for specific tasks. Okay, so same thing as before you start marketing any listings that you have, you need to make sure that you have an engagement letter. Okay, this engagement letter is actually called the, it didn't mention here yet, but there's a specific name for it. I will mention it to you shortly under the next section of the standards, which will spell out what you are supposed to do as the person in charge of the tenancy administration. Okay, it also details the relevant processes, which is your scope of work, and what and all the other and whether the estate agent shall implement any processes for the collection of the rent, your service charges and car park charges and whatever, and maintain proper accounts of all monies collected. Okay, when you call maintain all monies collected, it still goes back to what we discussed about yesterday on client's account. That means this client's account was used to hold earnest deposit, booking fee, and all these things, right? As stakeholder. So now, when you come to tenancy administration, this same account is also holding the rents that come in from the tenant before it's dispersed to the landlord. So that's the reason why under the previous standard, right, standard 9 client's account, it says that you can have a minimum of 1 client's account. So if let's say you're going to do this tenancy administration in a bigger way, perhaps it might be good to open up a second client's account just for your tenancy administration business, so that it's very clear where it minimize confusion, okay, and makes it easier to keep accounts. All right, okay. And then, of course, it's very important that estate agent must ensure that proper documentation and records are kept on the client's property and inventories. Okay, of course, and everything must be checked, fair wear and tear accepted, of course. And one of the role of a tenancy administrator is also to check periodically, to visit the premises to ensure that things are in order. All right. Of course, to do tenancy administration, you need to have very good understanding of the covenants entered between the landlord and the lessor. So it's actually an up level of your understanding of the simple tenancy agreements, you see. If this one comes, you have to be even well versed with the legal provisions, because sometimes if let's say the landlord and the tenant start to have disagreement and they start to fight about certain matters, so you as the person that is managing the tenancy, you need to be there to be able to guide them and say, okay, hey, look, the tenancy agreement says this, the provisions are this for you as the landlord and the provisions are this for you as the tenant. Can we work on an arrangement like this, like that, and all that? So in order to be able to do that, your understanding of the legal provisions as well as those and those under Contracts Act or other relevant laws will become very useful. So I think it's about time before you embark on this to also have very good understanding about Contracts Act and what is the responsibility of the landlord and what's the responsibility of the tenant in more clarity and in more depth. Yeah. Okay. And then, of course, the estate agent shall ensure that the covenants expressed or implied are observed by the tenant or the lessee under the tenancy lease agreement throughout the duration of the tenancy. See, you have to monitor and enforce the covenants without fear or favor at all times. So sometimes, perhaps there could be a delay in rental payment by the tenant. So you have to diligently follow and make sure that the covenants, which is that they have to pay by a certain date, is enforced. That means you got to be the one to make sure that you send reminders, and things like that to ensure that that part of the covenant is met. Or for that matter, anything else. Yeah. Okay. When an estate agent scope includes the delivery of vacant possession, okay. So note here, 10.2.7, it means that you can choose the scope of work that you want to do under tenancy administration. That means there could be like, okay, maybe the tenancy is already running. So then the landlord says, oh, I want to engage you to do tenancy administration. I don't want to worry about rental collection, the tenant calling me and telling me there's a leak or things like that I need to fix. Can you handle it for me? So in this instance, you are actually not doing the delivery of vacant possession or handing over already because it's an ongoing tenancy. So certain scope of works can be taken off. So it's a bit of a mix and match. It's depending what the landlord wants you to take care of. Some landlords want to take care of a lot of things. They will say they only want you to do rental collection. Okay, fine. So maybe rental collection is that part of your tenancy administration, but your scope is a lot bigger. But perhaps he just wants to engage you for that particular service. It's also possible, as you can see under 10.2.7. When it includes that, then the estate agent shall ensure and properly coordinate the same in accordance with the tenancy agreement, whatever is being agreed upon. Okay. Under 10.2.8, the estate agent shall ensure that all dealings and transactions are ethical and transparent with the client's best interest protected at all times. So the question here comes back to who is the client? Yeah, of course, the client is always the one who engages you. So in this particular situation, it would be the landlord, okay, the owner of the property. Okay, this is what I was talking about. The service level agreement. This is the agreement or the so-called the engagement letter that you will need to draft out and to be agreed upon by your client, and it should include things like and it should include whatever things that you're supposed to do or whatever items are not included in that service agreement. And of course, you cannot modify it without the consent of the client, obviously. Okay, so in the discharge of estate agent's fiduciary duties and obligations to the client, you shall not receive any money or commission or gift or donation for your own benefit from any vendor, supplier, contractor, service provider, in order to ensure that your client's interest is not compromised. Okay, what does it mean by compromise the client's interest? Okay, you have been engaged by your client to look after his property, his tenancy on the property. When there were some issues, so he pays you for the service, he pays you. Then there was there was a leak in the property and you were supposed to get 3 quotations. So you got 3 quotations, but you will always push one particular quotation because perhaps that particular contractor also may give you certain extra benefits or what do you call it, referral or whatever they may call it, the case may be. So because of this person perhaps wanting to give you more referral than the other 2, your propensity to push that particular one would be based on monetary and not on quality of work or in the best interest of the client. So because of that, under standard number 10, we are not to receive any money, commission or gift or donation for our own personal benefit because we do not want our clients' position to be compromised by our own self-interest. Yeah, so we are prohibited from receiving any form of commission or money or kickback directly or indirectly. Yeah, so I think they find this very, they repeated it in two different ways. One is shall not receive money, one is prohibited. So A and B, so which means that the board is actually very particular about this matter. So should a complaint arise with certain evidence of such misbehavior by any any registrant, then I think strict disciplinary action will be taken. Yeah? Okay, so the estate agent shall furnish a monthly statement listing the expenses and collection in relation to the property. So if let's say it's a very straightforward one, that means the client say, no, you just collect rent for me only. So basically, it will look like rental collected minus your fee for tenancy administration and net to be given back to the landlord. Okay, it'll be very simple. I'll show you an example I took from Australia, one of a simple statement. Okay, so the explanations to the standard rate, the estate agent plays an important role as the link between the landlord, lessor, and the tenant and lessee. While ensuring that the tenant has quiet enjoyment of the premises, the estate agent also must ensure that the tenant is briefed clearly on the bylaws, house rules, and his obligation under the tenancy or lease agreement. Okay. Most of the time, when we do tenancy agreement, most of the time it's like, okay, the landlord says, okay, follow this tenancy agreement. So, okay, we just forward it around and everybody signs and finish. Okay, but when it comes to managing the tenancy, we actually need to sit down with our tenant and say that, okay, I want you to explain, I want you to understand very clearly what the tenancy agreement says. Okay, under your covenants, you need to do this, you need to do that. There's house rules you need to comply by. This is the copy of it, and everything properly explained so that it will minimize problems you would have later on what they can and cannot do and what the landlords should and should not do and things like that. Okay, so I just show you an example of an owner's statement. So where I put there, you can put your company logo, the owner's detail, the address, and the tenancy details. Of course, in Australia, they collect weekly rent. Yeah, but in Malaysia, we're still going on monthly rent. I don't believe I've seen any tenancy agreement on a weekly rent, but perhaps there are. Weekly rent actually collects more rent, if you ask me, because 52 weeks versus 12 months. Yeah, so rental collection, income minus expenses equals the balance goes to payment to owner. So very straightforward. You can just do that on an Excel and print it out and give this monthly statement to your client. Why it should be done monthly? Some people say, why not quarterly or half yearly and things like that? Because if you're on top of a situation, your rental should be collected monthly. If the rental is not collected monthly, something is wrong already. And then you would have been in touch with your owner and saying that, okay, we need to issue letters, reminders, things like that already. And by certain weeks later, you will need to maybe send an eviction notice already to the tenant. So it has to be something very up to date, very current. That's why the board suggested monthly. Yeah, monthly statement to the owners. Okay. So the estate agent may be required to collect rents in addition to service charge or other charges. He must ensure all monies are properly collected and accounted for in the appropriate account. Okay, so that ends our tenancy administration. Now let me just go through the final section of the MEAS. Yeah. Okay, under the MEAS, there's always attachments to the MEAS. After all the standards are written, there's some attachments. Okay, so all these are the attachments stated on your screen right now. The ones I highlighted in blue are all the new additions into the attachments. Of course, the exclusive authorization, general authorization, everything is there, including authorization to secure a property for acquisition as the buyer's agent. Even that appointment letter is there. So co-agency, of course, is there. And I think I also covered the property viewing, acknowledgement, and all that. Okay, so let me just go through those 4 items that were highlighted in blue. Yeah, listing form I also covered in 2 sessions. I think last session and perhaps 3 sessions ago on getting the pertinent facts of the property. So the board has also given the guidelines how we should record the information given, and they also added one more thing called the activity log. This is quite a useful form also, but perhaps most of us log it in our Excel. Perhaps some of you may have used Excel to log your activity logs, but this one is a printed version, maybe for those who are, don't want to key in anything, just write out. This activity shows what you have done for that particular listing. I think this is a very good form. Sometimes it might surprise you that you have done nothing but post online for that listing. And I tell you, that may be a surprise to a lot of us, and say that, oh, no wonder the owner is so upset. All I did was post it on, one of those property portals, and that's it. I did not do anything further. So once you look at the activity log and the items that are listed there, I think it's quite interesting that this will help you to manage your listings better. Okay, and then they also add in this strange checklist called the REA Job Scope and Due Diligence Checklist. There's no mention of this particular checklist anywhere in the standards, but it appeared in the attachment. So we are also curious how it got there, but I think it's also very useful because it details out exactly what you're supposed to do as an estate agent. It goes on from listings to CMA to inspections to understanding the client's motivation to sell or to rent, agreeing on the listing price, agreeing on the appointment type, whether it's going to be exclusive, sole, joint, or ad hoc, and then executing the appointment letter. So this is like a checklist of what we are supposed to do, which I find quite useful. Then, of course, after you've got after the engagement letter is signed, then you discuss with your client on who you think the possible buyer or tenant will be, what are your marketing strategies, and then you even prepare marketing materials, and you can even show it to your client so that they are they're happier that you are really looking into the interest of their interest and really doing your best to market the properties. Then it even talks about handling inquiries, doing the sales rental presentation, even handling objections is written here, negotiation and closing the deal, executing the offer letter, and then SPA before you invoice the client for your firm's professional fee, and also whatever transition period if there needs be for the handover of keys. So this one is something new, but I find it it can be quite useful for the new RENs and all that coming into the business, into the real estate business, to understand the flow of how it's like, from listing till closing. Okay, we talked about the viewer's acknowledgement on properties inspected yesterday at standard number 8 on viewing and inspections. This was an addition. In the past, it was always the buyer or the tenant acknowledging that he saw the property through you. But this particular form is more of the owner acknowledging that you brought this particular buyer or tenant to view his property. Okay, all these are enhanced documentation to assist you in doing your business. Okay, okay, so in summary, section 10, there's always called the service level agreement. Okay, some of you may be wondering, so how does this service level agreement look like? Okay, so in our previous MEAS presentation, I think 12th of March this year, MIA will be looking into getting hopefully a standardized service level agreement where all of us estate agents as well as real estate negotiators can adopt and use it. So that will be coming up soon. And also the next thing you need to look at is for a software for tenancy administration if you want to do it in a very big way. Say you are going to manage like 200 properties and things like that, you will definitely need a system. Of course, if you're looking at 5, 10 properties, then I think an Excel will do fine. But if you want to do it in a bigger way, you need a proper software to manage all that. You see, a lot of when we went to visit Melbourne last year to visit REIV as a delegation, I think we opened up this program to all members of MIA to follow us for this trip. When we went there, we realized that after visiting a lot of these estate agency firms there, we realized that the value, the value of the business of an estate agency is what they call the rent roll. And the rent roll is how many tenancy administration contracts they have attached to their firm. So this is what is the value, the monetary value. So when an estate agency firms in Australia wants to sell off their business to somebody else, they're actually selling off the rent roll, and that is worth money to the person buying over this business. So if you want to build more goodwill and value into your business, I think tenancy administration is definitely the way to go. Okay, so don't forget the monthly statement for listing and expenses and collection. So with that, I end today's part 6 of MEAS. Back to you, Kian An.
Okay, thanks, Aching. That was, I think that is something new that was incorporated. That they added in this year, right?
Yes, yes,
This
yes.
standard.
2nd
So
January
I think
2020.
I think from okay, thanks again, I think, for sharing with us. I think there are a lot of the way I look at it, we have I think more than almost 10 questions here. I think there are a lot. Yeah, it's all mostly are regarding the tenancy administration, and I think that this is something new that I think a lot of us still a lot of what do you call confusion in that matter. Now, I think from the questions, I think you'll be able to see. Now, why don't we just go through the questions? I think it's important. I think we'll probably spend a little bit more time on the questions because I think there's something, a lot of things that people are not sure how exactly they're going to operate, who's going to do it, is it going to be with the owner, with the agency, or things like that. So let's go to the first question. First question was asked from this Chia Hong. He says that, yeah, this is something that we ask very commonly. He asked, may I know, what is the tenancy administration fee? You want to charge what is a fee for tenancy administration?
Okay,
yeah.
at the moment, the fee is not fixed, as in it's not firmed up yet. But I think what the market is practicing right now is anything between 5 to 10% of the rent. So at the moment, the fee is not fixed. So I think you can go ahead and charge anything within that range.
Yep. So it's between 5 to 10%, but it's not firm yet.
Not firm yet.
Okay, good. So that is one. So the second thing is, this is something very interesting. Eugene asked about client's account. Now he asked, can a rent open a client account? That's first question. Or rent have to use the agency's client account?
Okay. All right. I think, all right, in order to open a client's account, you must be in a position of authority to be recognized as a stakeholder. So an individual is, I don't believe an individual has been given that right to become a stakeholder. However, a firm has, an estate agency firm is definitely authorized to become stakeholder. So therefore, a client's account is opened by the estate agency firm.
Yeah? So from what I understand is that the client, which is a landlord, has to pay directly to the firm's client account.
Yes,
right?
I mean the rental should be paid to the firm's client's account, and from there it's forwarded to the landlord. Yes.
Landlord. So you cannot deal with the rents. The rent cannot have their own client account, right?
Yeah, I mean that would be like collecting the rent directly into your own bank account, and then from your bank account. Okay, I think no, that's definitely not covered for under Standard 10.
Okay, cool. Now the next question from Barbara. Barbara asked that. Okay, this is another interesting part. She asked, the rent are the one who is servicing the landlords, right? The rent are the one who is dealing with the landlords. Now, what are the terms and conditions of the contract between the agency and the rent? Because
that one. Okay. All right. I note. Okay. I think I understand the question. So the question is that the rent is the one following up with the owner and then doing all the work under the tenancy administration roles. Okay. So what is the relationship between the company and the rent?
Yes.
Isn't it based on the contract of service?
Yes. Yeah.
So it has to be detailed there what is agreed between you and your company. So it becomes in a way an employer and employee relationship. But of course it's contract of service, but it's a similar concept. So you have to read through your contract of service and make sure that this tenancy administration issue is indicated in there, that you are doing tenancy administration under the company, but these are your terms, or these are the terms agreed upon by you and the company. Agree upfront before you start doing.
Yeah, I think this question, I think the confusion is that when the landlord appoints the firm, and the landlord is going to pay the firm, let's say the 5 to 10% fee to the firm.
Okay. Yep.
Now, because the rent is working for the firm, and when the landlord pays the firm 5% of the tenancy administration fee, I think she's saying, what is the fee that the rent is going to get from the company?
Oh, like that one depends on company to company.
So it depends on the company between you.
We cannot say anything.
Okay. All right, cool. So there's no certain guideline to say what is that. So I think Barbara, that's your yeah. Okay, now next, Mark asks, can a tenancy administration done directly with the landlord right, instead of via the agency firm. So, Mark, if correct me if I'm wrong, that means you're saying that the rent goes to deal direct with the landlord instead of the landlord deals with the agency firm. If how I understand it.
If you read standard number 10, it would mean no lah, because the landlord, it's all dealt with a firm. You see, even in Australia, right, or any other countries, all tenancy administration is done by the firm. Of course, one particular person is in charge of your account, but that doesn't mean you appoint that one particular person. Because if the firm is held responsible if anything were to go wrong, where money went missing or who knows what happened. So obviously it's dealt with the company. And of course the company will need one designated person, which is you, to go and execute it. So now the what you need to discuss is not who can do. You can do it within the firm. It's only that what is your arrangement with your principal. I think that is the question. Not so much whether you can do or cannot do. I think it's what is your arrangement with the principal. So go back and discuss with your principal. Open up clearly. Tell him, under this role, I got to do this. What do you think is a fair? Whatever. Discuss.
So that means the client, the landlord must deal with the firm. They cannot deal with the negotiator, right?
Okay, if not, where's the client's account?
Yeah, because the negotiator is actually representing the firm. In a sense. Okay. Right, so I think we have a lot of interesting questions coming up, right? I think there are a few more. We try to address as many. I think this is something very new, and I think that a lot of things need to clarify. So if you don't mind, I think you can stay on a bit just to.
Okay.
Okay. Saturday anyway, you got no way to go, right? You can't go anywhere anyway. Right. Okay. Now, next question. Barbara asks again. Many landlords expect the rent to do this so-called service for free. All right, which is what a lot of them now. How to ask them to pay? That's one thing. And what if they don't pay? Do you still obligated to help them? All right.
Okay. So this is where we need to draw the line. We need to draw the line when we come to our obligation. So I always tell it this way. I always say to the landlord, okay, you are engaging me now to find you a tenant. Okay, so that's my role. I'm supposed to find you a tenant. Okay. So after I finish this role, right, that my role ends, I collect my fee, and that particular function as an estate agent ends. However, I have another section of the business handled by maybe a different team or whatever, of which I'm also part of it, where we also manage tenancy for a fee. So that's a different service. Yeah. So you have to be very clear. If not, of course, currently is like, if we feel obligated, the owner will call us and say, hey, you found that tenant, I see the tenant not paying, you go and collect the rent for me. So what kind of tenant you find for me? Then we feel pressured. Oh no, I've done a terrible thing. I have to go and call and harass. So, okay. So, and then it becomes, you have to do it by default. But actually, because in the past, it wasn't very clear that when our role ends. But now, with standard number 10, it's very clear. Our appointment and engagement to find you a tenant ends when we found you a tenant, collected the deposits, agreement is signed, and unconditional agreement is signed, and voila, we are done in a way. Okay, of course, if you want to keep in touch, you want to help the customer here and there, it's fine. But the next process would be say that, however, our company has another department that looks into tenancy administration, and if you want that, then that will manage your tenancy, collect rent, everything, hassle-free. That's a different department. Okay, but cool. How you are also in the same department.
Yep. Okay, I think, so that's your answer. Okay, now, actually, there's one, I think, Peter thing, I think he mentioned something. This is a statement from him. He said that Australia has a standard tenancy agreement which covers a wide topic, right? He said Malaysia doesn't have it. Can MIA look into this? That's one thing. I think, do you want to share a little bit about the new act or something like that, or?
I think too early to say anything.
So I think
a bit early for us to make any statement on that.
Just for Peter, I think that we are looking into that. There's something that we can't really say much because there's not really a lot of things to firm up. But there will definitely something coming up. And he also said that there's also need to educate the tenant and the landlord. Okay, thanks for that, Peter. Now then you go on to the next question from Rajendran. He was asking, I think you know this. He was asking, tenancy agreement, is it prepared by the lawyer or the agent's office? That's number one. Okay. Number two, who is supposed to pay for the tenancy agreement? Tenant or landlord or share equally? I think you you have answered this.
All right. In the first place, tenancy agreement must be prepared by a lawyer lah. Because we are not law graduates. We do not have depth of knowledge in terms of the terms in the tenancy agreement and things like that. Although we are well read, but we can't assume the role of a lawyer. Yeah. So when it talks about who is supposed to pay for tenancy agreements, right? Normally, most of the time, it would be the tenant who would pay for the tenancy agreement because, the lawyer will usually be representing the tenant also, and the tenant will be paying for it. But don't be surprised, there are situations where both parties are represented by their own lawyers. The landlord has his own lawyer, the tenant has his own lawyer, and therefore both will pay their own legal fees.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. I hope that answers your question, Rajendran. The next one is from Chia Hong again. He said, are we obliged to protect our client's interests? For example, if his house is haunted, do we tell the prospective tenant? I'm not sure whether this covers under the tenancy administration, right? I think this is more on ethics. I said if we may not get a tenant. So I think Chia Hong, this is more on ethics, not so much on tenancy administration. So I think it's basically very subjective, right? If you don't even know whether the house is haunted or not, but it's a matter of ethics, right? So I think we just skip this part. And I think, okay, next is Lock us. You have a tenancy administration standard spell out. What are the schedule fee that allow you to charge? I think this is what you have answered, between 5 to 10 just now.
Yeah, it's not firmed up yet. So if you want to practice right now, between 5 to 10% will be a good gauge, a good guideline.
Yeah. All right, good. Then he also asked, thirdly, who exactly is allowed to do, the agency or the rent? I mean, just now I think you have answered, right? The person who is supposed to deal is the rent, to go through with the agency. You can't deal that. The landlord cannot deal directly with the rent. The landlord must appoint the agency. Okay.
Same thing as it's the same thing. If you look at listing, right? Does the owner appoint you individually to go and to find a buyer for him? No, he appoints your company where you are the agent, you are the negotiator going to do the deal for him. Yeah, same concept. Yeah, same concept.
Yep. Okay. Then, of course, he made another one. I don't know if this is a question or not, Law. He said, many rents might be providing this service, right? The tenancy administration. Are they allowed to continue without reporting to the agency? I think you already.
Dear. I think I covered that already.
Yeah, you're not supposed to, because when the landlord appoints the agency, right? The agency have to collect rent on behalf of the tenant, the landlord. The agency have to print out the statement, things like that. So you can't. It's not as a rent you can't, right? Okay. Now the other question is from Kurt. Kurt said that condo rented out to a property management agent. Let me read first. I'll try to digest. Due to MCO, the company claims greatly impacted us, asking for moratorium for 6 months. In essence, they are asking to keep half rental collected and half for 6 months. Can we do that? Legal or what's the cost? I think this is more on like, Kurt is asking, he said, property management agent, due to MCO, the company claimed that they are affected. They were given a 6-month moratorium. So,
so I think this one is a tenancy. Yeah. This one was covered under the session that we had with David.
Yeah, David, more on the legal issues, not so much on tenancy administration, okay? Okay, then Robert mentioned again, what is the software for tenancy administration? Any recommended one? Are those on market cost, and who are the service provider?
I think at the moment, MIA is looking into it.
Yeah.
I think we will probably need a couple more months to finalize that. So until we are ready, then we will let you guys know lah. Of course, there's a lot of softwares right now available from Australia and things like that, but not really localized for our use lah. Yeah. Okay. So we are working on it.
Yeah, I think that's the software part, because our business in Malaysia is a bit different, because in Australia, tenant can actually apply for tenancy through online. They can actually put in application. So that software can handle that. We probably look into that, okay? Now, the next question is, I think this is from Eugene. Eugene, this is from the chat. Just go through that a little bit. Eugene asks, what can the board do if rent runs away with clients' money? Illusion in, right? Eugene on the chat box, he was asking, what can the board do if the rent runs away with clients' money and put it into his private account?
Okay, report it to the board and you'll know. Yeah. There is actually, I have seen this complaint come to the board with individual rent running off with clients' money, and it has been dealt with lah. So yes, if this is reported to the board will definitely take action upon it.
Okay. Now, I think there are a few more questions. Hopefully, we can just run through. Can a landlord prepare a tenancy? Can a landlord prepare own tenancy agreement with reason to avoid tax?
He's basically using one of his old agreements that if the landlord so chooses to give you that's the agreement he wants the tenant to sign, then so be it.
Yeah. So nothing. Yeah. Okay. Now, tenancy administration, can we charge more than 10% of the rental? Robert was asking.
At the moment, because the rate is not fixed, so you can charge. You're pretty much open to you can charge what your client is willing to pay, because until the rate is firmed, there's no there's in a way we're just providing guidelines to you lah.
Yeah. Okay. Then Cindy was asking, can landlord bring tenancy agreement to do stamping? I think can the landlord bring tenancy agreement to do stamping?
Yeah, they can. Yeah, landlord and tenant can do it themselves, and no need to bring already. Now it's online.
Yeah, you can do it. Okay. Locke was asking again. I think this is more on the statement. He said, if the fee is not fixed, do you think this will be open to lots of dispute, and a lot of misinterpretation and ambiguity?
I think for the time being, because it's not fixed, it will be based on what you agree upon with your owner. So in a way, there's no ambiguity because you have signed a service level agreement within you and your company and him, and you have agreed that, okay, for this service I'm providing, you are going to pay me 10%, let's say, 10% of the rental collected, things like that. Okay. So if he agrees and sign, okay, this is for a period of 1 year, and so be it, Contracts Act will kick in.
Okay, good. Now, Ivy is asking, this is more on a tenancy administration, means that the agent or the rent is more responsible to the tenants, right? And she's saying that the blacklisted tenant database will be helpful. Is MIA looking into that? I think, into a blacklisted tenant database.
Okay, this one is very complicated because it touches very much on legal stuff, like who can say you are a bad tenant, and if you are indeed blacklisted as a black tenant, how do you get back out of that list and things like that. So we're really studying into this lah. We have given it some thought. I think Ken An and our secretariat team, CEO Soma and all that, all of us are looking into the matter, but soon lah, not yet.
In fact, we also have to look into the PDPA also, because
a lot of
things that we are looking at. But definitely there's something that Australia also practice, right? There will be some blacklisted database, but we definitely look, that's something that we came to our consideration, right? Thanks, Ivy. Cindy was asking, how much tenancy agreement is collected from either party? Is it collected on both sides? Let me just read a bit. How much tenancy agreement is collected from either one party? Is it clause? I think maybe I'll come back to that first. I'll try to digest a little bit. Okay, Michael is asking, in the tenancy administration, agent is to collect the rent, right? If eventually rent is unable to collect, even the security is unable to cover due to whatever reason, should the agency bear the bad debts or the landlord? Or that means he's saying that you cannot, because you are supposed, the agency now is supposed to collect the rent. The tenant don't pay. Now your landlord is asking from you, right? What happened to the renter? Even the security deposit cannot collect. So is the agency supposed to bear this?
Okay. It depends on what your contract, your service level agreement is. Normally, when it comes to services, we will do our part to collect the rent. If they don't pay the rent, we are supposed to send letters, reminders, and evict the tenant. So I don't think our obligation is to guarantee rental collection. I mean, if we were to guarantee rental collection, perhaps that's a different business altogether, and perhaps the percentage of rental tenancy administration fee will be a lot different because it's a guarantee versus a service. So two different matters we're talking about. So it's back to your service level agreement.
Okay. Now, then the next thing is Wendy. Wendy is asking, I still got a lot more to go. we try to see what's right. We try to speed up. Wendy was asking, in tenancy administration, it's only limited to landlord and agent. That means landlord appoint agent to become to manage the tenancy, right? Then she was asking, can we be appointed? That means can the agent be appointed as the representative or administrator for landlord and also the tenant at the same time?
Oh, this one comes back to the issue of whether you can represent the seller and the buyer at the same time.
Yeah.
It's a conflict of interest.
Okay.
You can only
yeah, you only can collect fee for one party.
And you can only represent one party, really. Yeah. Although you're facilitating with the other party, that means both parties are part of it, but you're representing one party to facilitate with the other party. So no, you can't collect fees from both sides.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Now, then another Kurt was asking, this is also another interesting question. He said, if a family member wants me, I assume he's a renter, to manage their tenancy, right? Are we allowed to do it privately for their family member? It means I assume that maybe his father has a shop and the father asks him as a son to go and represent the father to collect rent, to do all this tenancy administration. Is he allowed to do that? And if yes, if he's going to do that, is the board going to penalize him? Should he review the situation to the tenant and landlord? That's his question.
Okay. When it comes to, because now Malaysia, in all our practices, especially even with the income tax and with customs and all that, we all come under self-regulation. Yeah. So the government will assume that you're doing everything right until, you are following the rules. So same thing like LHDN. If let's say income tax, you don't pay your income tax. Yeah. If they don't come and investigate you, they won't, in a way, you wait lah, in fear one day that they'll come knocking on your doors, right? So it's similarly to this sort of thing. It's basically, we are hoping for self-regulation in our industry. That means that you know the act, you know the rules, you follow the act and the rules. If you want to deviate from it, then you come under the possibility of being penalized. That's all I can say.
Okay, yeah? Good. Okay, we have a lot of questions. I'll try to screen through the questions and we try to answer things that, guys, if you can ask questions related to the tenancy administration, it'll be appreciated, right? Because some people ask about Airbnb, which is a bit not relevant in here. Now, Mel was asking, by right, the landlord is engaging the agency for the tenancy administration, and the rent is servicing the landlord. However, nowadays, the landlord is following the rent due to close relationship. It means the landlord will follow the rent. Is that what happened if the rent resign, leave the company? Does the tenancy administration still goes on?
Okay, there's always a provision for service, ending of services. So let's say you have been appointed for a year, okay, to manage this tenancy. But obviously, just like a tenancy agreement, there's always provision for termination. So within your service level agreement, there should be a provision for termination. So when let's say you leave that firm, so that service level agreement terminated, and you enter into a new service level agreement in your new firm, it's okay.
Okay.
It's a contract. Yep. It's like, okay, I appoint you for 1 year, but now I don't want anymore. I decide to give you a notice and terminate you here. Since you jump ship to the other side, then from there I can sign a new service level agreement. If you're saying that the landlord follows the rent because of the relationship you have built. Yeah, I think that's the way out.
Okay, I think there's another question. Teng was asking, is there a sample of tenancy administration agreement document between owner and agency? That means the landlord appoints the agency. Is there a letter of appointment?
This service level agreement is the one that MIA will be coming up with as soon as we can.
Yep. So this letter of appointment, letter of authority to manage your property.
Yes, correct.
To manage your tenancy.
And then the roles.
Okay, good. Let me see. Is there, I'll go through those with your tenancy administration. Okay, I'll ask again. Is it in the act that tenancy administration must be done by estate agency? In the act, is it mentioned in the act that tenancy administration must be done by the estate agency? I think it's mentioned in section 22's the C about the estate agency practice.
Yes, I think this particular
that is part of estate agency practice.
I think this tenancy administration have been added into the function of an estate agent. Yes. Yep. So I think the answer is yes.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Run through. Sorry if I missed some, but try to answer those that is relevant to the tenancy administration. Okay, Mary was asking, if the estate agency is not interested to do tenancy administration, that means the company, a firm is not interested, but the rent personally is interested. Can the rent set up a company to do tenancy administration? The rent set up his own company to do tenancy because he's working for this firm A. Firm A, maybe the principal said, no, I'm not interested to do tenancy administration. But the rent is very keen to do. So can the rent set up its own company? That's a great question.
You will have to set up a company whereby it is an estate agency. So you find yourself a partner who is an estate agent or a valuer or a property manager. I mean, one of this property valuer or estate agent. You become a partner in that firm, and yeah, you can, but not without registration. Yeah.
Okay. Now, Abby was asking, sorry, I just jumped here and there. Abby was asking, under tenancy administration, can the firm keep security and utility deposit until end of the tenancy period and return to the tenant after checking of any payments or outgoing incurred? Because in many cases, landlord refuse to return the deposit to the tenant even if having access after necessary deduction. That means Abby is asking, can the agency keeps the security deposit and the utility deposit?
Yeah, all this will come under your service level agreement. If the landlord say that, yeah, please, you just handle everything for me. After the tenant leaves, you just offset whatever needs to be offset and return the balance to the tenant. Then if it's part of your scope, then you can do it. But it has to be spelled out.
Okay, right. Now, Ko Min-chu was asking, is the tenancy administration in standard 10 applicable to factory, warehouse, or commercial properties?
As long as it's managing tenancies, yes, but not the building, not the property management. That means not managing it's a tenancy management only. Please remember that.
You don't manage the common areas or those things.
Yes, you don't. Okay. Yeah, but yes, the tenancy for commercial and tenancy for industrial property, yes, but not the building.
Yeah, I think we try to pick up last 2 or 3 questions, right? Let me see here. I'll try to, because there are a lot of questions here. Sorry, I can't, we don't have time to attend all, but we try to attend those with related to the tenancy administration, okay? There are a lot of people who are asking stamping fee. Okay, Mike asks, is the government stamping fee for tenancy agreement? Sure, okay, this is tenancy agreement. Tenancy agreement, you need to stamp, okay, in case of before payment with reference. Let me see. Okay, I think there's another very interesting part also. It may be related to our job. So he said, what are the avenues available to landlord should the tenant defaulted the rent payments? Because now the agency is responsible for collecting the rental. Now, what if the agency fail to collect the rental on behalf of the landlord? So I think
that one we covered it earlier, right? But I think what you all need to know is that the function, that means, okay, let's say the tenant is supposed to pay by the 1st of the month. So in the tenancy agreement, okay, of course, every tenancy agreement is different. So the tenancy agreement need to be worded very carefully. Usually within 1 week from there, we have to send the first notice. Yeah. That say, hey, I think you have forgotten to pay or whatever, due to your busyness and all that, please kindly remit payments and all that. Then you have to give you another reminder. Then only you proceed. There's a step 1, step 2, step 3. Then only you evict the tenant, right? So there must be a process. You cannot. So what the owner is expecting you to do is that make sure that the process is done. Because sometimes as the owner, they are maybe too busy to check on their phone. I mean, the internet banking, whether the tenant bank in the money, didn't bank in, don't know. By the time they check, 3 months later, 3 months rental, the tenant didn't pay, and then the tenant chow. So it's this sort of thing that they want you all, as the tenancy administrator, to make sure that we are on top of it. So the moment on the 1st, you check your account, the tenant hasn't paid. Maybe it's a good idea to just wait a day. Okay, so 2nd. So 2nd, you still haven't paid. Maybe by 2nd evening, you need to call already. Hello, just a gentle reminder that, the rent is due and things like that. So they expect that is our function. Yeah. To guarantee a collection is another matter, but we are supposed to do the process. So let's say after 7 days, he's still not yet paid. After 14 days, he's still not yet paid. After 30 days, what are we supposed to do? That is what is expected of us.
Okay. Now, Mark asked a question, does tenancy administration agreement need to be signed? I think the answer is very obvious.
Signed, of course.
Yeah, the answer is very obvious.
Please have everything in writing.
Yeah. Then Barbara asked, okay, I think this just to reinforce this, I think you answered this. She was asking if the rent moved to another company, what will happen to the service agreement between the landlord and the agency?
Yeah, service agreement always are time bound and always terminatable. See, so let's say that the owner, you may not be that you left the firm that he wants to follow. It may be that he's totally unhappy with your services and then he wants to cancel. So that's always the right of the client to appoint, to terminate, or whatever. Same thing. Yeah. So it doesn't mean that just because you leave, or if you wanted him to follow you, then there will be provisions provided in your service level agreement.
Yeah. I think I just want to add on one point to this is that, you see, I think a lot of people misunderstand is that the landlord appoints a firm, okay? So if let's say the negotiator resigns and left to another firm, actually the landlord can maintain the firm, and the firm can get another negotiator to take over the tenancy administration part. Right? And also the landlord, let's say they are not happy with the current firm, they can actually terminate and go and appoint another firm to do the tenancy administration. So that doesn't mean that they appoint you means it's yours forever. So you must understand that I think a lot of them, they need to do it. Okay. There's still a lot. Do you want to take in more? I think
we need to wrap it up soon, because we're running over time already.
Yeah, I think it's 4:06. I think basically, let me see. I just see, is there any really very important okay, I think this one thing that I think maybe you want to address is, does the listing agent have to share the tenancy administration fee with a co-agent who introduced a tenant?
Two different things. Listing is for selling or renting out the property. Tenancy administration is to manage the tenancy.
Yes.
They're not the same. Two different service.
Yeah. All right. So that answers question, Chia Hong. I think we can take it. We'll just one question. I think by law, I think it's quite important. So, the professional liability will be the rent or the agency in the event failure in the task. That means, if let's say, for example, failure in the task, I just give an example. Could it be because maybe the tenant couldn't pay the rent, or the tenant ran away? So, is it the responsibility of the rent, or is it the responsibility of the agency? I don't know. I think maybe that's what he's trying to say.
Maybe. Okay. Yeah. Now available in the market. I mean, of course, professional indemnity covers the firm. Now MIA through MIA Insure has also come up with a professional indemnity insurance for real estate negotiators. So you are protected in that way lah. If there were to be some untoward incident that the client or somebody wants to sue you personally as well as sue your company, then you are protected in that regard lah. Yeah.
Okay. I think that
I don't think we want to get to being sued lah.
Okay. I think you have covered quite a lot of questions, and I apologize to those who post questions that we couldn't address due to time limitation, and also we will focus more on tenancy administration. I think there are a lot of questions that are not related. We put it aside. If you really want to, you can always call up MIEA secretary to find out more if you really need help in the sense of your daily work. With that, I thank again Ms. Chan Ai Cheng, our president-elect of MIEA, and thanks again for sharing this standard with us. Is this the last part of the standard? No more, right?
Finally.
So finally. So if guys, girls, if you still have any issues that you're not sure about MEAS, you can always reach out MIEA. We are here to support you. You are here to address whatever assistance you need from us, not only through the webinar here. If you really need to, you can always reach out to our secretariat. We are always here to support you guys. And with that, thanks for attending the session. And if there's any shortfall, we just have to apologize. And
flashback the poll.
Yeah, the survey. Yeah, sorry.
Please remind everyone. It's very important. Yeah.
Yeah, and also my last request for today's session is hope you all can fill up the survey.
Yeah.
I think in the chat box there's a link there. I think someone let me see, there's chat box. Someone put up on the link for the survey. Yeah, okay, let me copy down this. Yeah, this survey.
Yes, please complete. Please complete the survey. Because whatever you say is very important, and we need as much respondent as possible for our survey so that we can make a collective decision with regards to how we should move about in light of this COVID-19 that has inflicted all of us.
Yeah, thanks. I've shared the link to the chat box, so you all can help us to fill up, so at least we can hear. Let us hear your voice, and we can help you all to voice out your concern to the relevant authority. Okay, thanks again, Ai Ching, and thank you, and goodbye, guys and girls. Have a safe day, or stay healthy. All right, bye-bye.
Bye.